Welcome to the capital of Vietnam, Hanoi, where pho restaurants can be found literally everywhere. Hanoi is attributed to being the birthplace of pho, but it wasn't actually invented here. It was invented 50 miles outside of the city, in a village called Van Cuon. Yet, on these very streets, the first permanent pho stalls were created over 100 years ago. How did this dish, beloved by the world, come to be? Let's find out. The ingredients used in pho and the name itself can be traced back to both Chinese and French influences. It's speculated that in the 1860s, a certain type of rice noodle was invented in southern China, right before the Sino-French War, sa ho fan, which refers to its place of origin, sa ho, in the province of Guangdong. These noodles are indistinguishable from pho noodles. And with such a long history of interaction, migratory workers from China lived in an area called Tonkin, what we know today as northern Vietnam. But before the Sino-French War, this was still technically China. This is why some theorize that the word pho actually descended from the Cantonese word fun, referring to sa ho fan rice noodles. It's speculated that during this time, migratory workers from southern China brought this unique style of noodle with them down the Red River into Tonkin. By 1885, the Sino-French War resulted in a treaty between France and China. The treaty allowed France to control the northern region of Vietnam, aka Tonkin. This effectively created French Indochina at large. When France occupied Vietnam, they brought with them their desire for tender steaks, which could only be satiated by slaughtering cows that, in Vietnamese tradition, were primarily used as beasts of burden. The leftover bones and scraps were salvaged and then sold by a handful of crafty Hanoi butchers. Sa ho fan was then met with a sudden surge in beef consumption. With the influx of French, some also argued that the word pho is a corruption of the French word feu, which means fire, and pho could be a Vietnamese adaptation of the classic French dish pot au feu, which the French surely brought to Vietnam when they came to rule the country. And, it's speculated, Vietnamese chefs who made this for their colonial masters borrowed some techniques, such as blackening vegetable roots, for an extremely flavorful broth. So was pho connected to the French? Yes, but a seasoning is the fusion of multiple cultures. Cardamom comes from India, star anise is native to southwest China, and when that's used in combination with Vietnamese fish sauce, it gives pho its distinct flavor. And this dish continued to evolve, even in Vietnam. By 1954, the communists were in power in the north, and people fled, and with them, they brought their cherished pho recipes to the south of Vietnam. Thus, the Saigon style of pho was born. They were effectively breaking down the barriers of the more traditional north by adding bean sprouts, liberally garnishing herbs on top, and allowing for sauces to be used as well, such as hoisin. As the conflicts continued between North and South, it manifested into the Vietnam War, which lasted from 1955 to 1975. And eventually ended with the fall of Saigon. The North won, and with the communists in power, people again fled their homes, but this time to all corners of the world, and once again, their cherished pho recipes migrated with them. Like the country whose history is one of being intertwined by various cultures, and whose people constantly adapt to survive, the dish has roots in multiple heritages, yet retains a distinctively Vietnamese flavor. A bowl of pho is more than mere sustenance, it is the expression of Vietnamese identity. So here's my food for thought. Is it blasphemy to squirt sriracha and hoisin sauce into a bowl of pho? Did there ever exist a pure version of pho? And would the creators of pho condone its modern conception? Cuisine has never been static, and the idea of authenticity is a constantly moving target. Often when food is referred to as inauthentic, the proper follow-up question may be, inauthentic to whom?